Welcome, sir. Good evening, everyone. Uh, I think technical team is there. Actually, participants are being shown for the five numbers only. That's why I'm asking whether it is being joined. Okay, okay, okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm CA Sunil Gogra from Jaipur, being moderator of this webinar. I think this is the first webinar after Deepavali festival, and this being the 58th webinar on important pointers while filing form on 3 CEB, and second session we are having on the grace, gravitas, and growth dimensions of personality. Uh, this webinar is being organized by our Institute Continuous Professional Education Committee of ICAI. It's my pleasure to be the moderator for this 58th webinar on important pointers. On first topic is with regard to 3C and for international taxation, and another session, second session, what we are having about grace, gravitas, and growth. First session is going to held by the speaker from Jaipur only, Mr. Naman CA Naman Shrimal, and second session by our Central Council member CA Jay Chhera is there. First session is going to be of the 1 hour, and second session is going for another 1 hour, 4 to 5 and 5 to 6. As you all are aware, that role of chartered accountant is evolving continuously to accept new responsibilities and new challenges. In the dynamic global environment, CA profession is dependent on being flexible and open to innovation. What we are learning in day-to-day life is going to change by day and by 2 days, by 3 days. Every day we have to learn a lot. So to survive in the profession, to survive in the industry. The committee also believes that member of ICI should look beyond the traditional areas of practice and explore new areas of business and profession, and hence CP committee is mentoring the members by providing guidance through various workshops, seminars, national conferences, background materials, and etc. and other guidances, and simultaneously by encouraging you young and dynamic professionals to grow as a speaker, master of ceremonies in CP programs. Our first session is going to be of on international taxation, wherein the report, which is the talk of the town for international sector, is from 3CEB, where are the several points and discussions are there. Our expert speaker, Naman Shrimal, CA Naman Shrimal is going to take over that session. As I have been communicated that our CP chairman, CA Satish Gupta Saab and Vice Chairman Vishnu Agarwal Saab is about to join in the second session. So, without wasting any much of the time of the audiences, I request to Naman Shrimal to take over the session. Before taking over, I'll read out his biodata. Even though he is not need to have any, he is very well known personality. Even though for discharge of my duty, I read out his biodata. He has a decade of experience. He has over a decade of experience in management consultancy on the transfer pricing, international taxation, and inbound outbound investment strategy, and has advised both multinationals, corporations, and emerging businesses. He is an active contributor to professional publications and a regular speaker at national and international forums of institute, BCH, and CTCs. He also served on ICI Direct Tax Committee, BCH Committee on International Taxation and Technology, and the Rajasthan State Development Council of SOCHM. I let you know all the audiences that he hails from Jaipur, Rajasthan only. So we are having his further several deliberation in our other chapters also. So I welcome him all and request to Naman Shrimalji to please take over his session on the subject.
Thank you, Sunil sir. It's always a pleasure to speak on platforms such as of ICI. It's our mother institute, and it's always good to be here and contribute. Thank you, ICI CP committee, Satish sir, Vishnu Agarwal sir, for giving me an opportunity to portray my thoughts. The deadline for Form 3CEB, the transfer pricing study, transfer pricing filing is just 8 days away. 31st October is the deadline, and therefore this is absolutely aptly kept at this point of time, where I'm very sure that there would be a many issues with respect to Form 3CEB. I will
Yes.
try my level best to put forward my experience of last 15 years into this field, and put forward that what are the common issues faced while filing these, and how we can secure and safeguard ourselves while seeing the various transactions of the nature in of transfer pricing. So I'll just share my screen, and then we can go ahead.
Why? Sure, sir. Sure.
Let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So I want to also thank my team, Harshita and Gaurav, who will help me in preparing this presentation. Whatever is being made is actually done by them. I am just, speaking on their behalf. So thanks to them. What is basically transfer pricing? So some of you may not be aware of the word, and maybe one or two clients coming on your way. So the basic understanding is that any income which is arising from international transaction or domestic transaction, some of the specified domestic transaction, those needs to be treated like as on arm's length, as if they would have been done with a third party who did not have any relationship or any influence on the assessee. That's the whole idea of transfer pricing, and whole it's just one section, but whole teams, big teams are dedicated to just solve this one topic, one section. And some of my friends jokingly say that we read so many sections, you read only one, still you are completely busy. That's the beauty of the transfer pricing, that there are so many nuances, so many business related nuances, that it keeps you completely hooked down the year. So the international, any kind of international transaction or specified domestic transaction with related parties, which could have influence on the taxation paid in India, would be covered under this. So that's the basic idea. What's the roadmap of today's PPT? What's the report under Section 92E? What's various annexures we need to understand? What are the general audit? See, it's giving an opinion. It's not a certification. It's an opinion. So what are the general audit procedure we see, and what are the issues and challenges generally we see? That is what we are going to cover in next 50 minutes or so. Um, the PPT is bifurcated in these four parts. Uh, would- who has an applicability, for whom this Section 92E and Rule 10E is applicable? Any person who has entered any international transaction or specified domestic transactions during a previous year shall obtain a report from an accountant and furnish such report before on and before the specified date of the prescribed form. So it's any person, okay? Every person who has entered into an international transaction. International transaction itself, or specific domestic transaction itself, assume that it's the transaction with related parties, okay, or associate enterprise as they are called. Basically, sometimes people have some kind of general issues and might be covered in the PPT, but I'm taking it over here. Is that sometimes people say, okay, only 10,000 rupees transaction is there from a related party. It's very newly formed. It's not, do I need to report? Is there a 1 crore limit or something like that? I just want to clarify a point over here, that transaction, even if it is 1 rupee, or sometimes, like in a case of a guarantee, there is not a single rupee transaction, 3CEB needs to be filed, because you need to prove the transaction of it does not have any limit. Even a 1 rupee transaction needs to be reported. Transfer pricing study report is mandatory when the transaction is more than 1 crore. Otherwise, 3CEB, you need to basically sign even if 1 rupee transaction is there. So sometimes people come to us, they last 5 years, you're not filing this thing. It is better that you file right away, rectify it before the departments come to you, because there are heavy penalties over there. So the penalty I am covering over here. See, if you see Section 271 BA, Section 271 double A. If they will pay 100,000 rupees penalty, then there is a penalty of non-maintenance of document or 2% penalty. So that is a huge penalty with respect to any transaction, and therefore it's absolutely essential that you first realize that your clients require such kind of report and you start working on it. 31st October. It is linked with 1 month prior to due date of filing. For transfer pricing cases, the due date of filing returns is November, and therefore 1 month before is 31st October. So currently it's 31st October. No extension over here as of now. Let's see what happens, because everything got extended this year. We may see extension over here also, but currently we do not see any extension over here. What is the format? There is a report and then there is an annexure. Annexure has three part. General clauses 1 to 9. Basic general clauses, basic information. Then part B is international transaction, clauses 10 to 20. Part C is specified domestic transaction, clauses 21 to 26. So a report, then three parts. What is the scope of the report? Okay. And as I said, it's a report and not a certification. You are not satisfying a fact. You are saying, in our opinion, proper information and documents. Documents, what documents? Document as per Rule 10D. In our opinion, proper information and documents are as prescribed have been kept by assessee in respect of international transaction. So that is what they say, that our opinion is such that the proper documentation and information prescribed has been kept by the SSC. And we are saying that this is as per the true and correct. Whatever information and documents required have been kept, and those show a true and correct information. And it is on the basis of the explanation received by us. So that is Form 3CB scope is there. It is restricted to examination of accounts related to international transaction, not complete thing. Okay, only with respect to those international transaction and SDT. The assessee is responsible, like in tax audit also, the assessee is responsible for filling all those pages. The assessee is responsible for identify international transaction with associated enterprise, computing the arm's length price, and maintaining necessary documentation. The assessee must ensure the accuracy. Okay, the assessee is actually responsible for it. Okay, ensure completeness, and therefore taking MRL. Okay, taking MRL is important. What happens sometimes when you are not the transfer pricing auditor, someone else is a transfer pricing auditor. You are the transfer pricing auditor, someone else is a statutory auditor. Always mention at the last point over here, we relied on the audited financial statements provided by ABC Chartered Accountants to verify the correctness of the information. So whatever who has been done the statutory audit, you have relied basis on that. If it is unaudited, let's say some of the LLP, some of the partnership firm do not require any audit, mention that fact that this is basically a non-audited financials, because not everything needs to be audited. You can also mention, that documents are basis on test check, following the guidance note on report under Section 92E of Income Tax Act. So this is as per on a test check basis and nothing else. Then you can, sometimes there is a clause that whether the receivable or the payable, those transactions are itself to be reported or not. There are two opinion on it. My opinion says that this is, they are not principal transactions. They are because of the transactions which have already been reported, let's say sale or a purchase, and therefore if they are not delayed receivables or delayed payables, they do not require separate benchmarking. If they are delayed, let's say you have given a credit period of 3 months, but they are delayed by 2 years, delayed by 1 year, then it's a separate transaction, because now it's akin to loan, and therefore they may be required to be reported. At the end, like all audits, management representation letter should be very well obtained from the client. What are the forms plus clause 1 to 9? Very simple: name, address, nature. Remember, while selecting nature and business, this is actually matching with whatever, is this somewhere correlated with what you're giving in 3CD report, or what your business you are saying, you are mentioning, is that correlated or it is entirely different? So be very careful. I've seen TP study reports where TP study reports something, sells something, company does something else, and they've selected nature something else. Clause 8 and 9 is aggregate value of international transactions and aggregate value. So whatever total values, remember that the correct summation goes over here. Points, check aggregate value. Then try to match the related party transaction with the either clause 23 of 3CD, related party payment, or financials. Though they may not match exactly, because some ambit of financials is by AS 18. Over here, the related party definition as per 92 is different, and therefore they should actually, you they may not reconcile, but you at least, whatever are the related party, whatever transaction, you should at least match that amount. So you should match with clause 23 of form 3CD, your financial statements, and your related party transaction detailed in form 3CD. Then obviously list UDIN, that's very compulsory. This is how the list is being feeded. Then you come list of associate enterprise. Very, very important. Where to gauge from? Remember, try to take the detail of common debtor. What are the companies? How do they know? So over here, company's internal control system is very, very important. How are they are knowing that this party is my related party? So therefore, you need to understand this from client. How do you know? Do you see anywhere some new orders coming? Anyways, bulk orders coming? Any transaction which is little different from, you should try and test it. You take a MRL. That's what you can do, but you try and test it. Correct legal name. Take a identification number. Then what is the nature of relationship? Then only associated enterprise whose international transaction has been taken needs to be mentioned. Okay, because this is related to international transaction. This is not the SDT or something like that. Only those needs to be mentioned. Okay, and ensure that correct clause of 92A2 has been selected. So 92A2 lists down 13 conditions wherein the associate enterprise, the parties would be called as associate enterprise. See whether they fall into the direct you're mentioning is correct. Sometimes they may fall into 2 or 3 different clauses. So shareholder is common, director is also there. So whichever flows first, and most of the shareholder one which flows first, you select that one. There would be multiple, you select one which is the most applicable one, or otherwise, if all of them are almost there, then you select the one which is, I would say, one of them. What are the difference? What could be the differences? Because a related party as per AS 18 and 92A would be little different. So related party 20% shareholder is necessary. Parties do not merely become because one is 100% dependent on other. In associate enterprise, they do become when they are 100% dependent on each other. AS 18 is focused more on disclosure. 92A focus on correct calculation. Then AS 18 is applicable on all related party, whether situation located or abroad. Over here is only international transaction. Then the meat of the matter, which is there, clause 11, tangible property. Basic things are fine, that this is what you need to fill: name, address, unique identification number. If the unique identification number of AE is not available, then you can fill 999. It is advisable that you obtain the unique identification number and take it into record, because sometimes they would want to match whether this is the same party or not. If not available, then as a all e-filing utility, you can mention 9999 or whatever the number is. Uh, Type paid and received, or so paid necessarily does not mean paid in cash, or received does not mean that received in cash or received in bank. Paid and received means that it is paid or payable, or received or receivable. and any kind of notes you feel, because the space is the limitation. Sometimes we want to write something we are not able to express, we want to disclaim some opinion while maintaining that they are at ALP, or we want to write why did this valuation report, why did this documents we are proving this as LP, or this is as part of the TP study obtained by this I would say person. And therefore when we have such kind of situation, then you basically file this, use this observation space for adding notes. Just to explain further, 11 has three parts: 11A, 11B, 11C. 11A is with respect to raw material, consumables, other supplies for assembling or processing, manufacturing goods of article. 11B is with respect to traded and finished goods. So only trading and finished goods typically there. And 11C is purchase, sale, transfer of any tangible property or lease of such property. Even lease is there. Okay, it's not just buying, selling. It is actually lease. So very, very remember of a fixed asset. So you need to fill, as we said, unit, quantity, those name also. So verify value and quantity name details from notes to accounts in addition to A18 invoices and ledger account. Okay, you can obtain custom valuation information also if it is there. Okay, um, verification you can add as per the I would say fixed asset valuation report is very sometimes what sometimes people say. And see, always remember, custom valuation or a custom is always loggerheads at transfer pricing. The goal of the custom valuation officer is to increase the prices so that he can levy the custom duty on a higher rate. The goal of transfer pricing officer is to reduce those rates so that you can have a higher profit in India. Therefore, both are at loggerheads. Use the custom valuation or valuation report with a very good caution. Though the form mentions that you should mention the quantity per unit of product like gram, liter, and everything. However, sometimes the details is very heavy and is not provided by client. You can mention that separately mentioned by SSC, separately maintained by SSC. They are keeping it. You don't require the complete details. As you already said, you can say mention the phrase numerous and keep backup, uh, clarificatory note. Then the clause 11, what with respect to tangible property. Clause 12 with respect to intangible property. Okay. So any kind of intangible property, purchase, sale, transfer, lease, or use of intangible property such as know-how, patents, copyright, those should be part of that. So your unique identification number, all these information is almost the same. International transaction with respect to purchase, sale, lease, now it is very important as a transfer pricing, auditor or transfer pricing, you will filing Form 3 CEV, you actually see that whether this intangible property is of some use or not. You cannot just say, okay, it's fine, we have received, we just tabulating the data. Whether the benefit have been received because of, we have seen companies like they are saying, okay, know-how has been given, but nobody is sharing those know-how. So take those email confirmation, take those field visit confirmation, someone who has come from, let's say, US, the holding company, and giving information over there, training and everything, which is there. And obviously check agreement to confirm the nature of such intangible, terms and conditions on period and everything. So these all royalty, copyright, trademark, all these needs to be, figured it out. That's very, very important. Okay. And it is very, very important to see the usage, or very important to tabulate the usage, because there is no physical transfer as such. In case of physical transfer, it becomes easy. You know that the things come out, the value may be changed, but because there is no physical transfer, it's very, very important. What's the use of interest rate in third party arrangement is there? Uh, uh, and where do we get such royalty databases? So royalty stat, KT mine is such royalty databases which is helpful in I would say giving us this intangible related information. Then there is a services. So we have moved from tangible property, clause 11, to intangible property, and now services. So, again, the same kind of information has been feeded over here. However, it's again very important that services, generally, what happens is sometimes you will get cup data for production of goods because the goods has been transferred at the same rate. But it's very, very difficult to get services, same to same services, which has been sold to, provided to third party as also the provided to related parties. So therefore, it's very difficult to find out. So important to see whether it's a cost plus markup, it's an hourly rate, fixed fee, and how much the foreign party is earning or not. And foreign party is actually very reluctant. Practically, we have seen foreign party is very, very reluctant to share such data. So that also needs to be checked. So we have covered clause 11 tangible property, clause 12 intangible, clause 13 is services. And now coming to lending on borrowing. So they have certain other different things over here. And herein come the classic question. When we lend or borrow the money, should we also mention the amount which has been borrowed or lended? All of us would think, but see how a lending and borrowed amount may be the transaction, but the real transaction of profit and loss is actually the receipt of income or provision of expenses as an interest expense. So those interest income or interest expense is actually the transaction. So in such kind of situation, our suggestion would be that you mention the loan receipt or funded or given into the observation space, and whatever is the interest rate, because you see the interest rate is over given, you mention that interest rate, be it a fixed or a floating, you say that interest rate over here. Expense is actually the transaction which needs to be benchmarked. 100 rupee given by someone or 100 rupee received by someone will always remain same. They will not change. So that is something which needs to be kept in mind. So relevant agreement, internal cup, rate of interest. Nowadays, a lot of interest was parked, let's say, only on a fixed interest basis. Now situations change. You cannot give. So it is advisable, and it is always advisable to tell the clients that okay, no fixed, but a floating rate of interest should ideally be provided over here. Ideally, a floating rate of interest should be given for a benchmarking. What are the specific audit procedures? You check a ledger for loan, audit revenue, whatever paid. Sometimes people give loan and they say, no, no, we don't want to charge interest. When you are receiving loan and paying interest, no issues from Indian side because you are not reducing any tax base of India. You are, on the contrary, increase the tax base. But when you are actually paying or lending the money to your sister concern and not earning interest, then it causes a very, very big thing. Somebody would say it's a shareholder equity, it's like a shareholder participation. Sorry, we should not charge interest. It's my related party to whom I have given. I should not charge interest. But it's very, very important that you need to prove that why it is a shareholder equity and not otherwise. So we also need to see party-wise aging. If any closing balance receivable are there, it's, as I said earlier, it is akin to technically giving a loan. So that was there, and a lot of loan earlier used to be worked on a LIBOR plus basis. Now things have changed. So for Soina, many other things are there, and therefore we need to be very, very categorical when the rate was signed, when it was there, and accordingly take it ahead. Issues and challenges under clause 14. What are the issues and challenges? Sometimes third party data is not available, it's not, and therefore you need to use some kind of a loan connector or some kind of NSDL database to actually come out with an answer. Sometimes people aggregate or in doing the interest transaction into the main transaction. Ideally, that is not preferable. In my opinion, TNM as an all encompass cannot take the interest transaction into it. It may take other smaller transaction, but interest is altogether different transaction. TNM generally as a PLI you take is operating profit where the interest is not considered, and therefore, in my opinion, you should never use interest on a TNM basis when the overall picture you should not aggregate those transactions. Each secondary adjustment can rate can be used again if you do not have any other rate, you can use that. Safe harbor rates for interest to be charged on intra-group, can they be used? In some of the smaller cases where the amount is not that material, we have been using it because that's a reference given by the Income Tax Act itself that this is a safe harbor rate, even if you do not apply for safe harbor. So that can be used. However, for bigger cases, for complex cases, I would say not to use it and better to use software such as Loan Connector to benchmark the interest transaction. So, clause 11 tangible, clause 12 intangible, clause 13 service, clause 14 borrowing pending. Clause 15 is guarantee, and herein gets a little bit tricky. Guarantee is sometimes not even on the books, they're not guarantee fees charged. And this is one of the cases where you need to report in 3CB even if you have not charged an amount from your sister concern, because you have given a guarantee, it's an international transaction, you have chosen not to charge to it. As a transfer pricing auditor, we may need to impute a few costs that at least 1% of the loan should be charged or something like that. Again, the classic controversy whether it is a shareholder choice to give and to augment, and it's purely just a guaranteed, it will come into the picture, and it is not something worth charging for, and I will not do something like this to my unrelated party, and therefore this transaction cannot be benchmarked, is a classic case. In my opinion, guarantee fees of some amount should be charged 0.5, 1, whatever the various model says, but you should either work out whatever the benefits you are getting in the loan, you need to work that out. Uh, you what and this is sometimes very very difficult to find out if you're not paying or not receiving this thing. If you're not paying, not receiving, how would you come to know? So you need to see whether there is a loan given, whether any in the loan given. The next question should be, should there should be a corporate guarantee agreement? There should be guarantee. Is there any kind of guarantee? Is there? Can you see in any kind of board meeting notes, board meeting minutes that this guarantee has been noted? So you ask. Generally, a board minute should casually generally be asked before, at least for complex clients, to understand whether they have taken any such positions. As I said, this itself is a big, and the PPT is big, so the context itself is big. But because of 1 hour given, I'm a little rushing through it, and this PPT would be freely available. Anybody can download, and anybody can connect with me also to understand if there are any questions. So whether corporate guarantee given itself is an international transaction or not. So Bharatiya ruling says that you cannot lead that it does not have any effect on the profit loss that is there. Uh, so it's both side of the coin are there. Better to report whenever in doubt. Better to err on the correct side of the law rather than on the wrong side of the law. As I said, safe harbor, can it be used? Can, yeah, safe harbor of 1% is a very good benchmark to be used with. So for non-complex cases, non-big, no cases which are not very big, I would say you can actually use this also. We have already discussed this, that what to reflect in clause 14, interest amount of principal. It said only interest, only principal, report the principal by way. I'm subscribing to view 3. Any kind of loan, just, by way of note observation, so the principal amount and interest can be given over there. Letter of comfort. What is the difference between guarantee and letter of comfort? Guarantee is an implicit guarantee. Letter of comfort is just you're part of that group. Let's say Tata Group. You're part of the Tata Group. So you're just writing, okay, I will take care. I will, it's a letter of comfort. It's more of not an explicit guarantee. It's actually implicitly being part of Tata Group. You are very sure that they will not fail. They will keep yourself, over here. Generally, letter of my will subscribe to view one that not required to be reported at LC, not specifically somewhere mentioned. So just to remind and keep you in the loop, clause 11 tangible, clause 12 intangible, clause 13 services, clause 14 lending and borrowing, clause 15 guarantee, and now clause 16 purchase or sale of issues of security. So a marketable security, whatever be it, any purchase and sale of marketable security or equity share, whatever be its legal sale purchase done with the related party, that also needs to be reported over here. International transaction, so change in shareholder structure to be closely scrutinized. Share valuation report is a very good source of identifying whether a transaction is at arm's length or not. Again, details of minutes, board meetings, shareholder meetings to be there. Receive payment of share application money that needs to be there. So, in any kinds of equity share, what's the issue? Are there any CCPS? Are there any shared debenture that needs to be taken care in mind? Um, Purchase and equity share, a good way is to do is the other method. Just a second. ठीक, ठीक. मैंने नॉलेज दे दो. Then it's an important thing. Recharacterization of trade transaction at loan. Share premium can be said that deemed loan and interest can be imputed. Highly doubtful whether it will be there. Share application money paid generally it's with share issued at the A level application money, and therefore it should not be a deemed loan. In case of share premium received from A at face value less than fair value of share, whether difference can be there, I do not think so any kind of deemed loan will be there. Practical issues. Can a capital gain be considered as shareholding activity and no charge benchmarking is done? Whether disclosure is still required? Because there is a specific clause, I would believe that disclosure is mandatory. Okay. Initial allotment, share capital to disclose should be disclosed is because initial allotment. In initial allotment, it's always on a face value. How can somebody say they were not an A at the time of initial subscription and no? I would say better in this case not to report it, not at all required. Initial subscription, why would somebody, they are in the formation, they were not at a party at that point of time, and therefore it may not be required. Then a mutual agreement and arrangement. And you will say, okay, what is the difference between when we provide some services out of mutual agreement or clause 13, which is services? Clause 13 is actual services received. Clause 17 is division of services via a mutual agreement that you are a sharing of a cost. It's a cost sharing arrangement rather than just a receipt from one place to another. So that's a mutual agreement and process. So you need to see whether, and again, clause 13 and clause 17 intra-group service are mostly typical, very, very tough services, very, very tough to gauge, very, very tough to know. Okay. And it's the information, it's a very, very common thing in a multinational enterprise. It's the way the multinational corporates operate. And this kind of intra-group services, you need to be sure that the services has been received, there is a global master agreement, whether only that proportion of the services which you are consuming is been allocated to you. Very important to know over here is the complexity key or any kind of allocation key which has been multiplied by number of the expense or whatever. Because let's say if India is only using 25% of the workforce, why should we charge 50%? So as an auditor, you need to keep that into mind. You need to make sure that in intra-group services or such kind of mutual agreement, there is an actual services being received to India. Because what happens is sometimes there is no actual service received and the company keep on billing, company keep on showing it up. What are the challenges under clause 17? Again, do not aggregate those transactions. Ideally, they should not be aggregated. That whatever we my overall profitability is fine. Is like whatever I'm paying to my related party is fine. No, it's at ALP. Always have two things: whether the actual services have been provided or not, and then you come at pricing. The question is whether it is just not. You are not saying only 5% markup or a cost plus markup is correct or not. That the markup is correct or not. It's very important to also see whether the transaction itself has been done or not. And sometimes we forget that part of it, whether the transaction has been done or not. So any kind of allocation key, basically goes to the other method or cup method or whatever we need. The challenges would be to get in the cost allocation sheet because it's very, very, very difficult for any M&E to share it. But that is how it comes. Clause 18 is a business restructuring. Over here, you do not say whether it is ALP or not. You are just saying that what are the terms of business restructuring, what are the methods selected. That's it. Okay, nothing over here. That's a separate, altogether. You just need to mention that there is a business restructuring. So any kind of business restructuring, any business reorganization suddenly change, and you will see what would change. Let's say I was a low cost GCC in India, and I was global capability center over here, and suddenly they felt that Vietnam is a better. They shut it down and they started Vietnam in one day. Okay, they shut in one day, all the people left out, all expenses every year. Should I be compensated? That is what the business restructuring talk about. Okay, so it could be conversion of manufacturer into a full-fledged manufacturer, merger of two entities, converger into a low risk distributor, or demerger of any kind of business restructuring. Has it happened? Something plus or minus needs to be reported over here. And obviously, we will not go to quantum time, we will not go over here. Last, it's like a residual clause. Any transaction having a bearing on profit, loss, income losses, and not been done above, not been discussed above, not been specifically asked about, please, they need to be mentioned over here. So any transaction having a bearing on profit, income loss, those needs to be also discussed. So this is what needs to be discussed. Uh, what other transaction, any kind of reimbursement which is there, or any kind of maybe some amount, majorly reimbursement, majorly transaction which is somehow not covered, or free of cost, or any reversal, anything which is specific, which is actually not covered over here, you can mention it over here. Reimbursement cost to cost basis should be 13 or 19. Services rendered without fees at cost but considered for GST 13 or 19. Typically, more these things could come at 19. Commission agent is a service could come at 13. That is what is there. Then the last one is deemed international transaction. So it is not a direct international transaction, but a deemed international transaction, which would be there. So third party need not to be non-resident, it could be a resident. So any transaction with a person other than an AE in pursuance of a prior agreement in relation to relevant transaction between such person and an AE would be there. So that is something a AE related transaction. Third party need not to be a non-resident. How it is there? What is the role of third party? Why it has been emerged over there? It's a very, very intricate case, and you would come to know whether if there is any third party. So the way to test is like third party is giving you a product. However, that product is branded as per the group norms and everything. So why is third party selling it? Why is not the right party? And this is the way to catch this up. Any significant transaction they can be, and obviously take MRL that there are no deemed related party transaction. Last 10 minutes, minutes I would spend on specified domestic transactions, very, very interesting ones. And the good part is that 20 crore limit is over here. So only the bigger transaction are come into the picture. The transactions were slowly and steadily reducing because the ATIA benefits and other benefits were phasing off the SEZ benefits and other benefits. However, it has come into a fresh light because of 115 BAB transaction, where you have a domestic transactions which are very important in nature because of the 15% tax rate, beneficial tax rate, which came into picture. Over here, 20 crore limit is there. Non need to report if only 10 rupees transaction, if 15 crore transaction is there with respect to only specified transaction. Very, very important. Now, this is akin to like clause 10. Clause 21 is list of parties for SDT only. And it is not like that if you have international transaction, even SDT would be reported if it is less than 20 crore. We remember SDT will only be reported if it is SDT more than 20 crore and nothing like that. So all legal name to be identified, those are simple things I have written. First 22A and 22B with respect to eligible business unit undertaking under ATI 8. A very, very important very, very important way to check is check form 10 CCB, which is duly certified, that what's the earning. And remember, in all your international transactions, you strive, you fight that your transactions, you're earning high or not earning low. You that is at ALP. See, it's always ALP or better. For any jurisdiction, it's like ALP or better. You always fight for that. Okay. However, only in this scenario, in specific domestic transaction, everything, you actually fight for reverse side. I am not making extraordinary profits over here, and therefore I am not taking extraordinary benefit out of this 15% regime or ATI regime. That is what you are striving for. Okay, that you are not making any extraordinary profit. Okay, so these are the details. You always have to see the net margin or the cup basis. Even cup data is available. You could do. Remember, you are benchmarking that segment where the ATI and not the entity level margin. Remember, transfer pricing is always transaction wise and not full entity wise. Those transactions could be aggregated if they are alike, if they can be benchmarked in the same manner, but not otherwise. Okay, transaction transfer pricing is always and always transaction specific. Then you come to interesting part of ATIA or 115 BAB, and one very small nuances over here is there. If you read, even clause 23 and 24 says specific domestic transaction in the nature of any business transaction which has resulted in more than ordinary profits to an eligible business, or even for 15 BAB, 115 BAB, you say specific domestic person resulted in more than ordinary profit. And if I am saying I am not more than ordinary profit, do I have to report it? If I am saying, no, I am at ordinary profit only, do I still need to report it? And that's a burning question. We do not, as a firm policy, report such kind of transaction in clause 23 and 24. Technically speaking, those transactions need not to be reported. But we go into 26 and say any other SDT prescribed, any other specific domestic transaction not specifically referred about to any other clauses within associate enterprise. So it's a residuary clause, can be used over here. It will be a blunder if you do it on 23 and 24, 115 BAB, BAE, and other things, because they are saying that these resulted in more than ordinary profit should only be reported. Appears it's an error, and the error has continued since the time this 115 BAB and other clauses got added. This needs to be reached to CBDT that where we should report. So rather than non-reporting and facing the penalty, I would say report that is in clause 26 and specifically say that 115 BB. But a very good defense could be there. Suppose if you have missed reporting it and it get opened, you can simply say, was this was not at all required. Okay. So ATIA 10, 10 AA, 115 BAB, BAE, all the observation amount, description, all of them done the same manner. Any other transaction which is not covered about, this should be clause 26 and not 25. There is some updation again. So that is what we want. I wanted to share from clause 20, clause 1 to 26. Some general observation, general audit procedures, which I want to close. I have now 7 to 8 minutes. Uh, General audit procedure is that check AE ledger to and from such product purchase and quantum. Verify the transaction. Always go and beyond a normal verification to agreement, purchase order, invoice, challan, bill of entry, etc. Disclosure of number of units of each category of raw material. Okay, uh, that you compare. If it is there, search of any other comparable uncontrolled transaction. Need to mention that. Do also mention that. And cup. Remember the cup. The relatability or the comparability has to be very, very tight. In a transaction net margin method, you could increase the way, increase technically your parameters, but in cup, the parameters are very rigid. It is actually like to like comparison. We'll not go for this case study due to want of time. Couple of pages of questions. Um, Whether PE of foreign entity considered separate entity for the purpose of TP filing. If a PE is there as a foreign entity, if you're filing those returns, those could be used for Form 3CB. Foreign head office and BO situated in India. Because the foreign head office is there and BO, yes, filing of Form 3CB will be required. But Indian HO and overseas branch, that overseas branch profit is any which was getted added in Indian HO. So technically, the Form 3CEB may not be required, though on a precautionary basis, we also do file it because there will be no effect on profitability. Whatever I'm billing to, my profit and loss of my branch office can actually will be added in my HO. Repeating of NR director who also qualifies AE, yes, if there are non-resident director, because it's said associated enterprises. Enterprises, their definition is given that who is into some kind of business or it appears to be like that. If only the NR director salary is there, no need to benchmark. If there is a qualification as an AE, okay, that's obviously needs to be benchmarked over here. If a company merges with another company with retrospective year, yes, you need to revise the Form 3CB, any which ways, all the merged company, because as on merge date, it is ceases to exist. Impact on Form 3CB on primary, secondary, yes, amount of, we need to see whether any kind of primary or secondary adjustment needs to be there, and accordingly, they need to be reported in the return. The first and the third question is actually the same, so there have been some issues. Unfortunately, the way the platform is designed, we are not able to see any questions or suggestions or whatever. But I thought that I will still. I'm not sure whether any kind of questions we can receive. But
Amanji, actually, I don't
yeah,
think so. There is much question. I'm on
yeah.
the question
Uh-huh.
panel right now, but as such, there
Okay,
is no
okay,
question on the topic as
okay.
you have elaborated the subject in a detailed and lucid manner. So I
Thank
think
you.
everybody
Yeah.
is left without any question now.
Okay,
Uh,
okay. So that's fine. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I will like to close now. Thank you so much. Thank you, ICI. Thank you, CP committee, for giving me this opportunity at this hour. When the deadline is actually looming around and we need to close, all our 3CB filing. So this was very apt topic, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak my thoughts. Thank you once again, my team, Harshita, Purva, and Gaurav, who have helped me in preparing this presentation. The time, I would have, seen if more than maybe a little slower, I would have gone, but I just wanted to coverage in this in an hour so that at least I touch upon the most common issues which we generally get asked or we generally get stuck, that I thought I would cover. Sunilji, over to you. Um,
Thank you, sir. You have discussed in elaborated and lucid manner all the aspects related to the Form 3C EB. Clause by clause, you have made a discussion over there. You have covered all the cup methods, capital gain method, capital gain issues, ATIA and 10 AA issue in detailed manner. You have also confirmed that date is not going to be extended, so the members who are listening, so we be very precise to filing before due date. Actually, we have taken a lot of initiation for getting for extension of the date in the tax audit, but in this case, international transaction, we should be very much cautious for filing of the form and reports within stipulated time. Thank you, Namanji. You have discussed the topic in a very detailed manner, and thank you. Any,
thank
I
you, sir.
don't think so. So much questions are there. There is no question right now. So I request for the next session speaker are there. Our Central Council member Jay Chheraji is there. Sir, I welcome you on this session. Jay Chhera sir is a very personality to be known to everyone for his. I wish to read out his profile.
Sunilji, before that, let me compliment Naman Shrimal, a fantastic speaker. Whenever international text comes to my mind, Naman comes up. I have listened to him number of times, particularly when the very first time I listened to him. There is a tree in your garden and the branches in the neighbor's garden. Who is going to get the fruits? Chalo, thoda tum le lo, thoda hum le le. So thereafter, I have suggested his name to many branches. Whenever the topic comes to
Yes.
international text, I say that
Yes.
kindly call him. He's a fantastic speaker. So let me first compliment the chairman of CPE committee for selecting a very apt speaker. At the same time, I was listening to uh, Naman, though I am not very much into texts, but I knew that he is going to be the speaker. So
Fantastic speaker,
I
sir.
listened to him for some while, and compliments to Naman for this fantastic program. Now, Sunil, you may take it over.
Thank
Sir,
you,
yeah,
sir. It's
you have
always pleasure
discussed
to
in
see you, sir, and always pleasure to get your guidance and mentorship, sir. Thank you, sir.
this is the beauty of our Jay Chhera sir. He take out all the words in a single word and put all the throne so that will be nicely celebrate getting experience by his experience also. So I wish to read out its uh, our central council member is going to take out the second session on the topic of grace, gravitas and growth dimensions of personality, which is जो उन्हीं के personality से ही झलकता है. तो उसी पर वो आज बोलने वाले हैं. I wish to read out his profile on the subject. He is a distinguished chartered accountant and a highly accomplished professional leader. He holds multiple qualifications including FCA, ACMA, MBA, MPhil. A lot of degrees are there and several postgraduate diplomas, and has completed advanced management programs in Italy, Germany, and the US and the UK and China and India as well. He has been associated with the ICI since 1995, has served as the chairman of the Surat branch, vice chairman of WIRC, and central council member for 3 consecutive terms, chairing more than 30 national and international committees. He has been honored by the governor and the chief minister of Gujarat, and even by the president of India for excellence in research. By these words, I welcome our second session speaker, Jay Chheraji, to the audiences. Sir, over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much. A very, very good evening to all of you, friends. First of all, let me thank the CP committee, more particularly the chairman of the committee, who has given me this wonderful opportunity uh, to speak on a very interesting topic. Actually, Satish Gupta ji gave me this wonderful opportunity. I got a call from the committee, I think 2 days back, that we want you to speak on personality development. Yeah, Vishnu is there from the committee. So, Vishnu ji, first of
सर
all, thank you very much to Satish ji and you for this wonderful
सर
opportunity.
आपका आपका फोटो नहीं दिख रहा है मुझे
मेरा
शायद
फोटो नहीं,
शायद
Sir,
मैं
visible है, sir. Technical team, please look into this.
क्या तो
मे
मैं
बी विष्णु जी में भी ऐसा होगा, मैंने मिस्टर इंडिया ज्यादा बार देख लिया हो। आप लाल कलर का कांच देखिए, उसमें मिलेगा।
अरे सर, तो आई एम ऑडिएबल और नॉट सर?
Yes, sir,
यस
you are
यस
audible, sir.
बिल्कुल।
ओके ओके
Audible,
ओके,
sir.
मुझे
Audible.
मुझे लगा मैंने गलत लिंक तो ज्वाइन नहीं कर दिया, वो ऑडियंस वाला तो नहीं कर दिया।
विष्णु जी, सब लिंक आपके लिए सही है, आप कोई भी
अरे
लिंक
सर,
ज्वाइन करिए। यू आर द राइट पर्सन। आई थिंक सुनील जी, विष्णु जी ने ज्वाइन किया है,
Yes,
तो मे
sir.
बी लेट अस, बिफोर आई स्टार्ट, लेट
Yes,
हिम,
sir.
you know, whatever he would
Yes.
like to
I
speak on
request
behalf of the
Vishnu.
committee.
Yes, yes, sure, sir. I request Vishnu sir to please be deliberate on the
यस,
subject, sir. I wish to read out. Before that, I'll read out his profile.
नो नॉट रिक्वायर्ड, नॉट रिक्वायर्ड।
Sir, even though not required, it's part of my duty, sir. Please
यस
allow
यस,
me to
नो
read
नो
out that,
नो
sir.
प्रॉब्लम, नो प्रॉब्लम।
Vishnu Agarwal, sir, is a Central Council member of ICI for the term 2025 to 29. As we all are aware, he currently served as the Vice Chairman of the CPE Committee and the Direct Tax Committee of ICI as well. Additionally, he is an esteemed member of several other key committees of ICI. Welcome, sir. With over 2 decades of experience, he specializes in income tax matters and has also authored the book Landmark Judgment of Income Tax. So you are encyclopedia, sir, of the income tax. Social engagement and community involvement is there. Beyond this professional commitments, CA Vishnu sir is actively involved in social service and community initiatives. His professional acumen, leadership roles, and dedication to both the profession and society make him a respected figure in the accounting and taxation domain. सर मैं बहुत लिटिल में पढ़ पाया हूँ, जो मुझे एलाबोरेट किया था, मैं मतलब गागर में सागर भरने वाली बात करना चाहता था, लेकिन वो मेरे पास वर्ड्स अवेलेबल नहीं है सर. विद दिस थॉट्स आई रिक्वेस्ट टू
थैंक यू,
प्लीज
थैंक यू, थैंक यू।
chair, please chair the session, sir.
Sir, our honorable Central Council member Jay Chhera ji, with whom I have done work in the regional council as well as working with the Central Council. Our chairman of the CP committee, Satish Gupta ji, in his absentia, moderator. Friends, today's speaker is Jay Chhera ji. Is not speak on the work-life balance, but also speak on the depth of the life. How to learn from the younger and how to learn from the our elder. I have learned so many things from Jay Chheraji during my council period in the regional council as well as in the central council. Friends, he has sacrificed his entire coaching practice for the members and the student. I remember when he was the regional council member, he belongs to the Surat and his topmost coaching classes from the Surat. And today he has shut down his practice, his coaching classes only for the serving the members and the student. This type of the people sacrifice entire life for the members and the student. Thank you, Judge sir. And his contribution for the Central Council is so much. I can't express in my words. Friends, whenever I meet with him, always he speak about the students, how the student will grow and what is the future of our student. Friends, he always think about the members that my each and every member must be around 8 to 9 digit in a year. Friends, I am a vice chairman of the CP committee as well as the direct tax committee. So many programs we are doing in the CP committee and so many initiatives we have taken under the CP committee. At the same time, we are also taken the so many initiative in the direct tax committee also. Friends, we have came out with the Income Tax Act 2025. First time under the direct tax committee, we have came out with the Income Tax Act 2025 with only 500 rupees with the shipping charges. All our publication houses is selling in the 2000 rupees and 2500 rupees. Myself and our chairman has thought that why we should not print income tax act, because each and every chartered accountant require the income tax act. At the same time, friends, we have also came out with the guidance note 44 AV, because tax audit is going on, only 3-4 days are left. I request each one of you, wherever you face any problem, just you read out our guidance note 44 AV and take the benefit which is hosted on our website. Friends, we have also came out with the ITR form checklist. So wherever you face any problem to file the ITR forms also, just you read out our checklist for the ITR forms. Friends, We are preparing the pre-budget memorandum. So I request each one of you, whatever problem you are facing and whatever changes you want, just you send the mail to the DTC at the rate of ICI.in. Whatever changes, whatever you are in the mind, we will compile and represent before the CBDT for the pre-budget memorandum. Friends, I will not take much of the time because we want give to maximum time to our speaker, Central Council members, Chair Cheraji is very busy personality, and I request each one of you, wherever you are, please join hand for our Jai Cheraji before he speaks. Thank you, friends.
Thank
Jai
you very
Chhara
much,
sir,
Vishnu
please.
Bhai. Thank you very much once again. A very, very good evening to all of you, friends. The chairman of CP committee, CA Satish Gupta ji in absentia, the vice chairman and my dear friend, CA Vishnu Agarwal ji, Sunil Gogra ji, the moderator and my co-speaker, CA Naman Shrimal, and all my dear friends, once again, a very good evening. I must appreciate Vishnu ji, your participation, CP, as well as this wonderful Direct Tax Act. This is going to be a very important act this time because you are going to link it with the old provisions and the new provisions. You know, for ages, I think for 2 decades we have been listening to it. You know, learn, unlearn, relearn. But if something has to be done, then it is this Direct Tax Act which is going to help you in learning or unlearning and relearning and whatever. That's a wonderful initiative, of course. Your direct tax committee is contributing very good to ICI GPT also. So, you know, many of the issues from the guidance net and all, I think members are now very smart in using the GPTs and can extract it. So that is fantastic. And sincere thanks to you for providing me this wonderful opportunity. And today the topic that has been given to me, Vishnuji, you are actually one of the important person for this topic. I'll tell you how. 2 days back, I got a call from the secretary of the committee that can you please take up something on personality development? I say I'll not prefer to speak very, very pleasant about the personality as it seems. You know, speaking too much in English or wearing some very fancy clothes or some, you know, some extra style and all. I said, no, that is not what I want to speak about. You know, a few years back, I was listening a very, very interesting anecdote I'll tell you. A few years back, there was a channel going on in TV, and in that there were two programs. In one program, one Indian monk was going to give a talk on spirituality, and in another program, there was a young lady who was going to speak about personality. Now, what happened? That lady with personality came up, and for her, personality was something like money, power, that is it. For her, once again, she kept on telling money, power, muscles. Money, power, muscles. She did it 10, 20 times. After that, that monk was talking about spirituality in life. I thought that the TV channel had programs rightly, but it was the second program which was personality development rather than the first one. They had swapped the names. So when I was told personality development, I say, let me put it in a different way. Let us put the topic as grace, gravitas, and growth. Why? Why? Growth, naturally, we have to understand. Everybody wants to grow, and chartered accountants have a reason to grow. So that was the concept. Gravitas, that is substance over style. Style can be there, and if it is there, it's fine, but that is short lived. Substance goes long. Maybe Sashi Tharoor can be fantastic in English, and somebody from us might follow him in terms of English. But if the language matters much more than that, what matters is what you say rather than the language, while language might be mattering, but that might be 10%, 90% is more about what you want to convey. 90% is your intentions which you radiate, which you radiate. Fortunately, one of our council colleagues, Sanjeev Sangi, he was discussing upon this particular idea with another our council member from Jaipur, Rohit Bhai, and the discussion was on aura, that let us bring this to the students. So I said, okay, let me pick up this topic as aura and develop a topic on that. So I made it aura like artificial intelligence, unconventional wisdom, radical innovation, and agile execution. I put it in this. In that also, I was telling the same thing that, you know, it is about radiation. You can only pass on to the world what you are. So personality development is about investment in self. If you have a smile on the face, if you invest more on that, then your personality is going to radiate that. And if you have a frown, then you are going to radiate that. So Vishnuji are perfectly fitting in this grace, gravitas, and growth. Right. Regarding growth, I think we all have to learn some certain lessons from you. So now with this, let me come with this topic. Now, personality is not something what we project, it is something what we radiate. What you project can be important, can be there, but it's short lived. The most crucial thing is what we radiate. A rose has a natural fragrance of a rose. It cannot radiate the fragrance of lotus. Similarly, a lotus cannot do that of cactus. So, very, very crucial thing is what is within us only can come out. So, personality is not more about the outer appearance. Personality is not more about how just we talk with people. Of course, that is a part of it. But more crucial, it is about the inner investment. While your clothing might make you look good, but it is ultimately your strong built body which is more important. Friends, you will agree with me. And do I require telling the chartered accountant substance over form, which is the first principle of accounting, and which is, of course, the principle of, say, spirituality? And naturally, it is the same principle for personality also. So while form is important, no doubt about it, substance is the most crucial thing. So I repeat, personality is not what we project, it is something what we radiate. Grace, gravitas, and growth. That is the topic that we have selected today. And these are not external decorations, right? At the time of Diwali, I think during this Diwali season, we are decorating our houses with very, very fancy stuff, lamps and all these things. That is fantastic. But this GGG, 3G, that is grace, gravitas, and growth are not some external decorations, but inner dimensions. So, once again, take you to that inner being. The most crucial thing is inner being. Here comes the question: charm versus character. Well, there are some people who have charismatic personalities, and that is fantastic. But believe me, once again, charm is short lived. Charm, you must have seen, I'm sure we all must have seen that. Many times in the movie, you find a new actor coming in, and he's a very, very big hit. But after some 2, 3 movies, he becomes invisible, right? He evaporates. Why is it so? Because charm may attract you for a short period of time. Character does it not only for long term, but for eternity. So the question is charm or character? I repeat, charm might be wonderful. Maybe by way of continuous investment in our belief system, in our attitude, in our thought process, and that reflecting by way of our relationships, our conversations, our interactions. Yes, we can build a charismatic personality, but over charm, always the most important thing shall be character. So let us take an example. Let us take an example, a wonderful example I'll tell you. A few days back, I was speaking at Doha, Qatar. Doha, Qatar chapter is the oldest chapter of ICI. That is an international chapter. And it is a fantastic chapter. I have got a number of opportunities to interact with them. I've been visiting Doha regularly, physically, for their conferences, as well as also by way of webinars virtually. The topic they had given to me this time was something fantastic. And while talking about that, I was talking about one particular gentleman, Sardar Patel. Friends, think about it. If Sardar Patel would not have been there, India was divided into 562 parganas. It was not a single nation by then. Now just think about it. If he would not have been there, so probably to meet Sunil Gograji, I would have required visa. Right? If I had to go to Jaipur, I could have required visa. It was thanks to that gentleman, Sunilji. What I'm trying to say is, Sunilji, you and I, how many mergers and acquisitions can we do in our life?
Yes, sir.
Two,
Yes, sir.
4, 10. Now, this
Maximum.
gentleman, Sardar Patel, had 560 mergers and all the very important mergers. And because of this merger, Sunilji, if you have to go to Kerala, you don't require visa.
Yes,
If
sir.
I have to
That's
go
why
to,
he's known for the Iron Man.
right? If I have to go to Bengal, I don't require a visa. right? So, what was there? Was it character or charm? It was character which was very, very evident, the most crucial. Charm was something, adding some glow to it. So, a person who is very humble can yet be very magnetic without any so called style statement. And that is what is the topic today. We are discussing about grace, gravitas, and growth. Well, today, I am sure there must be some young viewers also. And should I say to my young friends that in this age of filters and followers, because these youngsters, Instagram people, they are more about filters and they are more about followers. But it is not the filters and followers. It is not that appearance which is more important. It is about your presence. Only your presence will change the environment. So I repeat, while it is important that you work on your appearance, but the more important thing is your presence. And there, once again, the question is, how do we radiate? And we can only radiate when we invest. Invest where? Invest within us, right? When you talk about personality, of course, it starts with the physical personality also, right? Remaining fit, remaining in proportion. A person who is more physically fit remains more in proportion, has a better personality over a person who is not that very physically fit. So physics is also one of the very important aspect of a personality. Your height, your weight, right? All these things are very, very crucial. But along with appearance, it is the presence, I repeat, which is a very, very crucial aspect that we have to discuss. Well, now let us start with these three G's grace. So let us start with the first as grace. Now, grace is inner calm. The inner calm expressed outwardly as kindness, composure, and empathy. So it's very, very crucial. When does your personality grow as a human being? Well, nature has made us human being because kindness, empathy, composure, only human beings can probably feel and understand. So, grace is more about empathy, understanding the other person. Many a times it so happens, Sunilji, that we come across people. Suppose, say, I am working in a team and one team member makes a mistake. Now, there are very good chances I can be biased with him and I can abuse it or I can have empathy with him. Maybe if I step into his shoes, maybe either he is a new one, has a little less experience, or maybe during those days he had some family issues or maybe some other issues. So I have to empathetically understand that. Right? I cannot straight away shout at him. I cannot straight away abuse some person. And at least maybe in a short while, maybe you might react, but over a longer period of time, you cannot continue with such type of bitterness. Empathy. Empathy is a very, very important aspect. Kindness. These are some very important qualities which results into grace. Now we talk about grace. Let us talk about grace. Number one, grace under pressure. Now we are all chartered accountants, and we chartered accountants naturally have number of pressures. Actually, every human being has, but particularly chartered accountants during this particular season of audit or before that, the tax filing. Do I require to tell you what is pressure? We do understand, right? Many of the chartered accountant friends had to work till late nights, so we do understand pressure. So grace under pressure is the ability to stay composed when others lose control. Please understand, many a times situations will not be under our control, right? We cannot control the situations, but we can control our response to the situations, right? While situations I may not change, batsman. Situation is a bowler. I cannot control the bowler. I cannot tell the bowler that you ball this type of ball. It suits me more. But whatever ball he throws, how to bat, that is within my control. So I should focus more on that. So under pressure, the ability to stay calm, composed, because if you don't do that, then probably, you cannot respond to the situation very well. Once it so happened that we friends were sitting together and a discussion came up. Why is it so that James Bond 007 is always cool? And one of my friends gave a very wonderful answer. I like that answer very well. He said that, you know, hot seats and hot minds don't go together. If you have hot minds, you are not the right person to sit on the hot seat. If you have to sit on a hot seat, that means if you have to occupy a very, very important position, you must have a cool mind. You must have a cool mind. So that is very, very crucial. Now, we chartered accountants definitely, whether into practice serving thousands of clients or into industry sitting at CFO level or some top level, or maybe being an entrepreneur doing larger businesses, we are people who naturally face pressure to time. But the ability to cope with that, that is very crucial. The ability to remain composed, the ability to remain calm and respond accordingly. That is what is grace. That adds to the personality. Similar comes the second one, grace in relationship. Now, in relationship, it is very, very, very natural that all the people have different mindset. In Sanskrit, it is said that tundam tundam mati bhinna. हर दिमाग में in every brain the ideas are different. They live with different ideas, so they don't, when you are in a family, when you are with relatives, you are in a team, you don't expect all people to think the way you to think. Of course, by way of proper communication, by way of proper relationship, by way of proper environment creation, you have to see to it that there is a unity of goal, right? Congruence of goal is crucial, but we have to understand in terms of relationship, more particular at your home, you cannot be that very logical that you do with your work, right? If you talk to your mother with a logic, I think you'll fail. So that is not where the logic works. So grace in relationship is about respecting others, even when you disagree. Now there is a beautiful statement. There is a beautiful statement which says that you have to disagree without being disagreeable, right? An agreement to disagree requires tremendous understanding. Maybe now one question. Once again, Sunilji, which comes to our mind is why is it so that chartered accountants or otherwise very technically strong, they are good in income tax, they are good in company law, they are good in auditing, they are excellent, and we know very well, Sunilji, very well that
Yes,
today we
sir.
have so many fields, but chartered accountants are not coming together to build up large partnership. Why is it
Yes, sir.
so? When the prime minister of the nation says that I want Indian big fours, but then
Yes.
he wants to help us, we are not helping ourselves. What is the reason? The reason is that when it comes to relationship, we don't know the art of disagreeing. If I'm working with Sunil Bhai as a partner, if we have to take 10 decisions, naturally, out of 10, in 2, we'll have strong disagreement, and in 2, maybe a mild disagreement. But once again, you may disagree on a decision. You have not to
Yes.
disagree with a person. Now, there is a difference. Now, that is the problem. Even the most intelligent creatures known as chartered accountants don't come together and don't create big firms. 1 plus 1, 11. The benefit of synergy, which is available, which should be taken up by chartered accountants. What is the reason we are not taking up? The answer is we do not know the art of disagreeing, right? When there are different opinions, how to come to some common platform and how to let go some few differences and work together, that art of disagreement is very, very, very crucial. Believe
Sure, sir.
me,
Yes.
in council, this happens regularly, right? We council members sit together, and we are all from different places, different cities, different age, different background. So whenever something comes up, everybody has a different thought process. I'll say X, my neighbor would say Y, and then somebody would say Z. Now it's so important that listening to them very actively, I may say, okay, my X is not that good. His Y seems to be appropriate. Let me accept it. So, that openness of thinking. I
Yes.
tell you, one of the very important thing in personality is not about speaking. Speaking might be one of the aspects of that, but more than that, it is about listening, not passive listening, right? Not passive listening, but very, very active listening, listening with the intent of understanding, not
Yes.
listening with an intent to counter. Many times we listen to just counter. So, listening with an intent to understand the thought process of the other person, believe me, can add too much to your personalities. Now, these things They are not going to discuss with you in the big major personality programs, right? In personality programs, they are going to say X, Y, Z, A, B, C. But for chartered accountants, because I'm discussing with them, one very crucial thing is being listeners. Being listeners, being active listeners, trying to understand the point of view of the other person, and if necessary, accepting that his point of view seems to be more appropriate, and transiting from your point of view to his point of view. Of course, it requires courage. It requires
Sure,
courage, right?
sure, sir.
But that courage should be shown, and that is a very important part of the grace of gravitas. So, grace in relationship, as I said, respecting others even when you disagree. So it's not about winning arguments, it is about winning hearts. It said that never enter into arguments. If you lose it, you lose it. And if you win it, you lose the other person. So please do not argue. Does it mean we should not have any discussions? No. There is a difference between discussions and arguments. In discussion, we try to discuss what is right. In argument, we try to discuss who is right. Now, what is right is more important than who is right? I am sitting with my children, right? They have a different view, I have a different view. I want to prove I am right, means I am more right than them, or are they wrong? If that is the mindset, how can relationship survive? So, discussion is very healthy.
Yes, sir.
Discussion is very healthy. One has to be
Yes,
very mature to sit together and listen
yes,
to the other person and discuss on what is right rather than who is right. If we
yes,
do that, half of the problems of family, half of the problems of relatives, and I think 90% of the problems of firms will disappear. We'll start making better families, we'll start having wonderful relations with relatives, and I'm sure we are going to create big firms. At least we are going to start from being proprietor to maybe a 2 3 partnership firm, and slowly and gradually elevate. So it's about very genuine discussions and not going into arguments. And as I say, please do not argue, because if you lose an argument, you are a loser. And if you win the argument, you lose the person. Then you are a bigger loser. So, grace is success and failure, right? In success and failure, how do you handle that? That is very important. It is being being neither arrogant in victory. Just because you are victorious, you don't have to be arrogant, and nor broken in defeat. Now, this is a very crucial word. Please listen to it. Neither arrogant in victory nor broken in defeat. Because victories and defeats are going to happen, right? So just because I have won against somebody else and I go out of the proportion, I blow it out of the proportion, that shows too much of ego, that is too much of I attitude, and that is actually demeaning the other person. That is not a great idea. Neither being arrogant at a time of victory, being very humble rather, being very cordial, being empathetic with the other person. That is very, very crucial, and that shows what is your character. So, not being arrogant in victory, and at the same time, not being broken up in defeat. Who is not? Who is a person who has never got defeat in his life? I think we all have more defeats in life than successes, than victories. So, how to handle these defeats is very, very, very crucial. And that is one of the aspects of grace. So, as I was talking about, grace in relationship, not being too argumentative, rather having a cohesive environment, grace under pressure, not blowing something out of the proportion, but rather being cool, composed, and give a proper response to the situation, looking at the circumstances, looking at your resources, and looking at your requirements. And similarly, grace in case of success and failure, neither being arrogant in victory nor broken in defeat. I think that is another very important aspect of grace. Now let us come to gravitas. Now, gravitas. The Here comes the in gravitas, as I said, the weight of character. Gravitas is the weight of character. Character building is a very, very, very crucial aspect. It does not happen overnight, right? Just by attending a CP program where Sunil Gograj is the moderator and listening to me for 1 hour is not going to change the entire, I can say character. It is built over a bit of time, right? with the various experiences that we in our life, how we take these experiences, how we perceive them, and how this go into our subconscious mind. It penetrates deep down, and how we inculcate the things. I think the sum total of that over a long period of time becomes a character. Of course, such type of programs can just spark that fire within us, and maybe over a period of time we keep building up strong, we invest more in ourselves and create characters. So gravitas, the weight of character. So one of the very important aspect is substance over style. Substance over style. While nothing wrong with the style, if you remain humble, that is fine. Style can always be there, but most important thing is substance. So gravitas comes from knowledge, reflection, and authenticity. Now let us understand these three important things. Knowledge. And when I talk about knowledge, well, do I require telling anything chartered accountant in terms of knowledge? This is one of the profession which is most knowledgeable. But please understand, knowledge without humility is arrogance and can lead to destruction only. I repeat the thing, knowledge without humility may lead to destruction. Do I require telling this at the time when you just cross Dashera and Diwali? Ravan was one of the most knowledgeable person. His 10 heads were not the physical heads. They just show that he was a man with knowledge more than 10 people. But with that knowledge, he did not have the humility. And you can understand, ultimately result into disaster. So substance over style comes first from knowledge with humility. Because whatever knowledge you acquire in this world is just a drop in the ocean, is just a drop into ocean. With more and more knowledge, one has to be more and more humble. As it is said that a tree which bears more and more fruits gets, it does not go towards sky. There is a gravitation. It comes more towards earth. So similar should be the case we have. Next important aspect is reflection. Reflection, time to time. Now here comes a very, very important thing. If in our 24 hours day we keep on just spending more and more time on so-called social media, maybe so-called news, so-called maybe some TV channels or whatever maybe, right? On petty things, on routine things, we might not get the time to reflect upon our own life. So interestingly, what will happen? I may feel that I am living the life of my choice, but that is not happening. One very crucial thing is reflection. Now that's why if you look at any Indian deity, if you look at any particular religion which has emerged from India, that is the eastern part of the world, all the deities are shown being meditative. Why is it so? They are all shown meditative. The reason is very simple, reflection. You have to reflect upon yourself. How does it happen? How does it happen? I'm sure we all have heard about it. You all heard about it that if you want your face to be reflected in water, water has to be calm. If the water has a rippling effect, you cannot see clearly your face. So, similarly, unless your mind is very tranquil, you will never look at what is happening really in your life. So, here comes the very crucial aspect of reflection, right? We have to reflect in our life what is going on. Where are we moving towards? What is something, which really is very nearer to us? What is very crucial for us, right? This is something very, very important. Reflection time to time. And for this reflection time to time, you heard about it. All play and no work makes Jack a dull boy. So similarly, if we are always into mundane work, then we don't get the opportunity to reflect upon the more important aspects of life, and we miss out some of the best aspects of life. So reflection, and next is authenticity. Authenticity is about originality, whatever you may be, whatever you may be, but being original and being authentic is very, very crucial. So, three important aspects of gravitas are knowledge, reflection, and authenticity. Now, we have to understand that just collecting bare facts do not amount to knowledge. That might be only raw data. Unless this raw data is processed meaningfully, it does not become information. And unless this information has been absorbed with wisdom, being humble, it does not convert into knowledge. So many times, what we say knowledge is nothing but raw and bit pieces of information. pieces of data. And data is definitely not knowledge. This is very, very important that we chartered accountant must understand. Now, when you talk about gravitas, as I talked about substance over style, where I talked about three important aspects, that is knowledge, reflection, and authenticity. The next thing, or before that, should I say that when you speak with conviction, now see, if you have that knowledge, if you reflect upon yourself time to time, and if you're authentic, then you can surely say that when you speak with conviction, people listen even in silence. Now, this is very, very important. So, next comes maturity in thought and in tone, the ability to respond and not react. Many of us are, whenever something happens, many of us react. Now, there is a difference between reacting something and responding something. Reaction means you have given the remote control of your brain in the hands of the other person. Many of us argue like this: he did so and so, and that's why I did so and so. But that is many times it is reaction, right? Somebody did something to you and you reacted this way impulsively. That shows your weakness. Response means whatever is happening in the outside world, whatever the other person is doing, being calm, and you are very clear about it. What is your goal? Who you are reflected upon it, and on the basis of that, what is correct looking at the circumstances, situation, dealing the situation that way, that is responding. So we have to understand the difference between reacting and responding. That is very important part of gravitas. And the third pillar of gravitas, a very crucial aspect, is integrity. Now we know very well that the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, our mother body, is always talks about the values, and these values are independence, integrity, and competence. And should I not say that these three are very important aspects of personality development, right? Integrity is very, very crucial. I had heard about a very wise gentleman that before transacting with any person, look at the other person's competence, other person's abilities, and other person's intentions. And if the integrity, if the third one is missing, don't bother about the first two. So integrity comes first. And integrity is something which is at the core of any person in terms of relationship, in terms of professionalism, in terms of any aspect, even in terms of sports or in terms of arts. So integrity and accountability. And should we say that people with gravitas don't need titles? People with gravitas don't need titles. Their presence command respect. So there is a difference in management between authority and power. Authority comes from a chair. It is not from your within. So the moment your chair is gone, your authority will go away. And power is your own inner power, right? It is not dependent upon chair. I'm sure about it. You must have seen some leader, say Netaji Subhash Chandra, right? Whether he had the chair or not, authority or not, but his power was so tremendous. Even today, when you talk about Netaji, the first name comes to us is Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So there is the difference between power and authority. Authority is very short-lived, right? It's very short-lived. You might be head in particular department, in particular organization. Because of your authority, you might, talk with people with air in mind, but that authority is short lived. It will go away, it will disappear, it will fade. And if not, still, it does not bring out the right fragrance from your flower. It does not make your personality pleasant. So I think authority is not that very, very crucial. The more important thing is power. इन हिंदी इट इज सेड दैट कुछ इस तरह से निभा तू अपना किरदार, कुछ इस तरह से निभा तू अपना किरदार कि पर्दा गिरे पर तालियां बार बार. सो द थिंग इज दैट किरदार में वो मजा होना चाहिए, नॉट द सिट. किरदार, what you do in your life, I think that is very, very important. So respect is not something you ask for. Respect is something you command, right? You get it. So that is very crucial when it comes to gravitas. Now let us come to the important aspect, growth. Who is the person listening now who does not want his growth? We human beings require growth in all the dimensions of life. Physical growth, yes. Financial growth, Yes. That is growth in terms of wealth. Yes. Growth in terms of knowledge. Yes. In terms of personality. Yes. In terms of emotional well being. Yes. So, what are the various dimensions of growth? There can be many, but let me discuss a few with you. First is learning mindset. Learning mindset. It should not happen that at the age of 21 you complete a chartered accountancy and that's all. Actually, the game begins. अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है, right? Many people feel that just because you have completed chartered accountancy, everything is over. एक बार तूने सीए कर डाला तो लाइफ झिंगा लाला भाई साहब नहीं होता. No, never. One person must have learning mindset. Whether your age is 50 or your age is 80, if your mindset is learning mindset, you are young. So learning mindset means embracing change, having curiosity and feedback. Believe me, curiosity is one of the most important ingredient which can lead to your growth. Whatever great innovations have happened across the globe, the very base of that was curiosity. And each and every person from us was born curious. Sunilji, at the time of your birth or my birth, we are all bald, very small, but we are curious about everything, right?
Yes,
Always
sir.
looking at everything with full curiosity. And that
Yes.
curiosity is very natural to everyone, very natural. That curiosity should always be there. It was only because of curiosity some Siddharth became Gautam Buddha. It was only because of curiosity, right? Somebody became Mahavir. So we have to understand curiosity is at the base, and it is only curiosity which made create an apple, though a bitten one, whatever the case may be, but one apple, right? Curiosity is very crucial, and very important thing about learning mindset is feedback. Whatever situation is going on, we should be very smart in taking up the feedbacks. So I think this is about the learning mindset. Then comes very important emotional growth. Friends, if along with the increase in age, our emotional growth is not taking place, I think we are not growing at all. Now, what do we mean by emotional growth? Learning to handle rejection, criticism, and self doubt. See, time to time, we are going to be rejected. Now, the reasons may be different. The person who is rejecting us either may be biased, or maybe his thought process that does not match with us, or maybe his requirements are different, or maybe any other compelling reasons. But it is he who is rejecting you. How to take that rejection is very crucial, right? Is very crucial. Are we, too much disturbed? That's the question. A little disturbance to a certain extent might be okay. It is said that the birds of despair might fly over your head. Don't allow them building nest. That is very crucial when it comes to rejection. So, rejection, criticism. There are thousands of people to criticize us. Those who cannot do any damn thing on their own, they will criticize everyone. I'm sure about it. In India, at the tea stall, a person who cannot even make good tea will talk about the prime minister, what he should do and what he should not do. So, probably in India, I'm not sure whether the per capita GDP is good or not, but per capita GDO, that is gross domestic opinions, are very high. So, people might criticize you. Now, that might be because of their thought process. This might be because of their narrow mindedness. This might be because they are not matured. Why do you want to bother about that? Just be at ease. You don't have to take the criticism negatively. You don't have to feel negative about those people also. You don't have to feel negative about those. Just be at ease, right? And don't have the self doubt. So, emotional growth is about learning to handle rejection, criticism, and self doubt. This is very crucial. And next is collective growth. Collective growth. Friends, it is very crucial. If you only think in terms of I, then you will not grow. But if you think about all, the benefit of all, then I'm sure you will get it. And it is said that your life might be smoothly running by inserting too much of I, it will be ruining, right? Running to ruining. Collective growth. The thought about collective growth, lifting others as you rise, is very crucial in terms of emotional growth, collective growth. So when it wants to be a growth mindset, it has to be learning mindset. There has to be emotional growth, and there has to be collective growth. So that is about growth. Moving further, we'll have to understand, I repeat, the personality would depend upon many aspects. It would depend upon your physical structure. But can I change my physical structure totally? Probably the answer is no. Whatever color is given to me by nature, I am going to have the same color. Wherever I have taken birth, in accordance with that, my physique will be defined, my hair would have. So, to a certain extent, I can change, but most of the things I can accept, whatever they are. I cannot change them. But at the same time, remaining fit, remaining healthy, and always having a smile on the face. Sunilji, many times I tell that a person on whose face there is no smile, I don't consider them as a knowledgeable person.
Yes,
I
sir.
don't that he is an educated person. The most important aspect for an educated person is a smile on the face. If
Smile on
not
the.
possible, if not possible 100% time, at least 95% time, should we expect that there has to be a smile? You should be very happy with your life. Happiness is your first prayer. So I think personality is something which we have to invest into. And as we talked about grace, gravitas, growth, friends, let me tell you, grace makes you likable, gravitas makes you respectable, and growth makes you unstoppable. That is what I wanted to share with you. I have taken exactly 45 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes to discuss about it. If you have any questions, I would be very happy to take up the questions. Else, I think now Sunil Bhai, the ball is in your court and we may wind up the session depending upon whether questions are there or not.
Sir, ball is definitely remain in your court only, sir. Actually, you have elaborated the subject in a very lucid manner, just like a monk we are listening today. That the monk is sharing his thoughts on the life and the how to balance between the work and the topic you have shared, the grace, gravitas and the growth. ये बिल्कुल ऐसा है जैसे कि एक संत के सामने आज बैठ करके पूरा ज्ञान की प्राप्ति हमने की है. Thanks to the CPE committee who have given me such an opportunity to work as a moderator before the such a learning personality on the all the facets of the life. Jay Chera sir is having a very good uh, life teachings also apart from the academic subjects. I don't think so, sir. There is any question because you have elaborated the things in a very detailed manner. I am request. I think President sir is about to join. Satish Gupta sir, Chairman sir of the CP committee is about to join. Technical team, will you please let me know whether Satish Gupta sir is joining? To the technical team, hello. Satish Gupta sir is about to join or not? Chairman sir. Okay. Okay. So Vishnu sir is there.
I
He
think
has left.
Vishnu has another meeting. I know that.
Okay,
So
he might
Vishnu
have
must
been
be in
left
the
also.
meeting. I believe so.
Yes, yes. Sir, wonderful presentation and deliberation given by the CCM today, and we have been enriched our knowledge by the. Sir, actually, you have given a very detailed knowledge about that why the we are not growing and growing for the larger formation of the CA firms because of our mindset. What we are having a small mindset. We have to be grown. Our president, as you are, our prime minister is saying to be a big four. Likewise, the big four are working. We have to be come out from our gamut, our thoughts gamut. We should be think big. केवल मेरा ही मेरा नहीं सोचना है, मुझे मेरा पूरा ग्रुप का सोचना चाहिए. बहुत ही अच्छे से आपने इस बात को एलेबोरेट करा. आई थिंक नाउ द टाइम हैज कम टू ग्रो विद अकेले चलेंगे तो दूर तक जाएंगे, साथ चलेंगे तो देर तक चलेंगे. यही बात सर आज आपने हमें बहुत अच्छे से सिखाई है एंड वी हैव enriched our knowledge by your words of wisdom, sir. I think uh, session is going to be over now. Is there any question or any thoughts of someone who wish to say something on this forum? I don't think so, sir. Any person is about to speak on this topic right now. इतने अच्छे से आपने elaborate करा है तो बचा नहीं कुछ भी. अभी तक हम संत को सुनते हैं तो ऐसा लगता है कि हमें धार्मिक ज्ञान की प्राप्ति है। आपको सुन के लगा आज प्रोफेशनल और धार्मिक दोनों ज्ञान का संगम है।
सर ये दोनों अलग अलग है ही नहीं, एक ही है।
एक ही है। यस सर, यस सर। आई थिंक मीटिंग इज गोइंग टू बी ओवर नाउ।
यस सुनील जी, आप पैकअप कर दीजिए।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
Thank you very much, all of you, all my dear friends who have been a part of this program. Thank you very much once again to Satish Gupta ji, Vishnu Agarwal ji for providing this opportunity. And thanks a lot, Sunil ji.
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू सो मच सर।
Thank you, sir.